Welcome to Chimp Chat. I am delighted for today's episode and for today's guest. She is a tenured foster and rescue advocate for dogs. She's fostered many dogs for over a decade. Works extensively with one of my favorite rescues, California Pitbull Rescue. Board member, CFO and treasurer for Saving Senior Dogs USA. And I couldn't have asked for a better guest for today's episode. Welcome, Tara.
Thank you so much. I feel so honored to be here. And this is, I believe, my first podcast. So I'm very excited to talk about one of my favorite subjects with you, which is dogs.
Yeah, same. I mean, I'm honored to have you. It's like all the work that you do. And I'm just super, super excited. I was thinking too about all of this, like about dogs and primates, and my podcast here is about primates, pit bulls, pizza, and punk rock, but
all the best things.
Well, yeah, all the things, like my favorite things. I was just thinking how much primates remind me of pit bulls because the ones that I've read about went through biomedical research and like all this crazy traumatic things that humans have done to them. And pit bulls, the ones that are abused and taken to shelters, and just how resilient they are and how they can still learn to trust humans and love humans, which I don't know, maybe that's why I love people so much. But I wanted to ask you, do you have, I don't want to sound breedist, but do you have a favorite breed or do you just love all dogs?
So it's funny because I never grew up having dogs. I had cats. And when I moved to Oakland out of Marin, which was a whole new world for me, I was surrounded by pit bulls. And I just kind of fell in love with them. Their big, smushy faces. And then when we were going to the rescue to adopt our first dog, and this was 13 years ago, it was most of what our options were in the shelter were pit bulls or chihuahuas at the time. And I knew I wanted kind of a big dog that could go on hikes with. And so I kind of fell in love with the pitty mastiff breed. And I don't say I have a favorite breed, but I definitely have a huge soft spot in my heart for any pit bull bully breeds and larger breeds like mastiffs, Doberman, any dogs that are the underdog. I love.
Yeah, I feel like pit bulls are one of the most misunderstood breed. There's such a huge stigma behind them. And I mean, I think it really is just how humans are treating them.
Yeah.
But I grew up with dogs, grew up with pit bulls. I mean, I love them as well. But my sister has a Chihuahua. I have a pit bull, and
I love that.
Yeah, and like and my niece, like when she was very young, you know how kids are when they're just exploring dogs, they might pull their ear or their tail or something. And my dog has always been so tolerant of kids' behaviors. He's never growled or anything, but of course the Chihuahua does, and everyone always, they just have this idea that, oh, pit bulls are just be scary. And but they're not, they really are like the nanny dogs, and they really are. And they have the cutest faces. I'm sorry. I am breedist. Pit bulls are my favorite cutest faces.
They do. They absolutely do. And your dog is adorable. I agree with that. And I always kind of laughed about that because in Oakland too, there was a lot of free roaming Chihuahuas in our neighborhood. And I was more terrified of the Chihuahuas biting me than any pit bull, because that's the thing, like the small dog stigmas. People don't train their dogs. They let them roam around like cats, so they don't train them. But pit bulls are very sweet dogs, but they're larger dogs. So, just that's how it goes. They're stronger, but they're such great family dogs.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed too when we were living in Oakland. There was a lot of stray chihuahuas just roaming the streets, and I've seen a couple of pit bulls too. But yeah, those were I think the only breeds that that I guess noticed when we were living in Oakland. But yeah, there was so many strays. I guess that brings me to my next topic question that I want to talk about: the importance of rescuing and adopting, not, buying from breeders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk about that, but also maybe I'm just kind of jumping ahead. We can talk about both. But now that my dog is a senior, I have an affinity for senior dogs. And so my heart is just going to be with senior dogs going forward. So I want to talk about, I guess, the importance in general of fostering, not just for the dogs, but like what it means for the people that foster them too.
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, when I started out and I wanted to adopt a dog, there was nothing in my head that was like, I'm going to go buy a dog. I'm in the city and there are so many shelters around me with so many great dogs. We're going to go look and find a dog that fits our lifestyle. And all kinds of breeds of dogs. I think that's something that people misunderstand, is that there's this stigma that a shelter dog is going to be a bad dog, or, and it's absolutely not true. Dogs end up in shelters for so many different reasons. For a lot of times it's because they're old and their owners can't afford their medical bills, or there's a spousal dispute and they get sent there, or there's multitude of reasons. And no dog's a bad dog, but the shelter life is a very hard life for a dog because it's stressful. They go from living in a home with a family to all of a sudden what you can consider a jail cell wall with a lot of sound and noise, and it can really turn a great calm dog into a stressful ball of anxiety. So
I don't understand why they're there.
yeah, they don't know. All of a sudden, one day they were hanging out on the couch, and then the next they're on this concrete pad and they get taken out, no fault to the shelter. There's just a resourcing issue, but they get taken out maybe once a day if they're on a good list, and they get fed once a day, and generally fed pretty low grade food. So they've got stomach issues, and it's just not a great thing. So the power of fostering is, as soon as dogs come in, we need to make room for all the other dogs that are there. So you want to come in and try to pull as many dogs out so they can reacclimate into a normal, home life. And it's the most special and rewarding thing that you can do for your dog and for yourself, I say, because it's not easy work. There are some things that you need to keep in mind. I luckily have always worked from home, so I can manage having a dog, and I have a very disciplined schedule, and that's what dogs need, is discipline. So, I work up and I work out, and before I feed my dogs, they go on a walk. I do my workout, they come back, they go on a walk. So we're on a very militant schedule, and it's trained me over time, because I didn't used to do this. You learn with fostering that what they need is this structure, because structure creates, a more calm dog. They know what to expect. They know what they're going to get fed. Just like if you let a kid come in your house and you're like, go play in every room, they're going to be like, and they're going to throw everything and eat everything. Same with a foster dog. As soon as you give them a little bit of freedom, they're like, F you, this is my house. So you're like, I own the house. These are my rules, and this is how we're going to follow them. And you set certain times up for playtime, for walk time, and it really works. It's really effective. So I always structure my fosters to have a very regimen protocol, and then I pass that on to their fellow adopters so they can easily get acclimated and be set up for success.
Yeah. That too, I think it's very rewarding. I mean, I've only seen videos. I'm not going to adopt another dog for a little while, but how, it teaches you patience as well. Because you have to be patient with them, because everything is new, whatever it is that they have been through, whether they were severely abused or whether they did just somehow end up in a shelter due to unfortunate circumstances with their owners.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's quick too, like it's only like maybe a matter of days or weeks no matter what they've been through, they can just jump back and be like, okay, like this is gonna be all right. And it's like that moment, and all those videos that you see where the dog is finally feels safe or happy or comes up to you on their own, and just I feel like there probably wouldn't be any better feeling than when your foster dog connects with you and trusts you and it feels safe, and you're like, I did that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a game of patience, and it's a really beautiful thing to see some of these dogs blossom. And it definitely depends on the dog. My recent foster fail, Gloria, that we have, she was just like confident from the start and integrated pretty easy, where my beautiful boy Amigo, who passed unfortunately last year, he probably came from a harder chase where he was in the shelter for a year. He got no walks, terrible anxiety. We couldn't leave him alone. Like, he one time jumped out our 3rd-story window at our apartment in Oakland because he was so stressed that we had left. And I didn't know he was a jumper and would pop open the screen. He was luckily okay. But these are the things that you learn, and you're like, wow. And we had to work with him for a year to really get him out of his shell. And that was our hard, but he ended up being the best boy in the whole world. And he was, other than his anxiety, he was great, but he never left my side, still to the
You
end.
guys, you are great dog parents. I mean, I've seen, I'm going to, share all the socials and everything after the episode, but you took those dogs they went everywhere with you guys. Your wedding.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. They were that was like, try not to cry, but they were in the wedding. They actually couldn't be in the venue, but they let us walk them down the aisle. So Amigo was a ring bearer, and he brought the little ring, and he was so cute and happy and just wagging his tail. And then my girl Ava was the flower girl. So we got some pictures, and that was a really special moment because I always wanted them in our wedding.
Yeah, we wanted to do that too. Unfortunately, the venue that we chose didn't. I know I had this idea of having Debo be the ring bearer and having my husband's dog Ethel be the flower girl, but they didn't allow it, and that's okay. But yeah, you guys, you're great doggy parents. You really do take them everywhere, and I love seeing the videos and everything. And but I think we're both lucky to be able to work from home too, to be with our dogs, and give them what they need, especially when when the older that they get too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's becomes like hospice care, and it's not easy just taking care of your older mother or grandmother. It's the exact same, dogs need the exact same care. A little more sweet because they don't talk to you or talk back to you. They're just appreciative. Yeah, it's really hard watching your dogs get older and not getting to dog anymore, and, knowing that fine line of when the time is right. I mean, there's nothing harder than that, but it's like, if you can give them a good quality life up until when they're ready, then that's the best thing we can do, and not throw them in a shelter, and they're not disposable. You throw them away.
Right. That's funny that you said that. That reminds me, because I'm always telling my husband, for the dogs, they have like all their pills that they need and their vitamins and everything.
Yeah.
Times, and yeah, it's like we're running a nursing home for dogs.
It is. Yeah, we had a whole part of our kitchen set up. One of my girls had cancer, and so she could have carbs. So I was baking her fresh cod every day and salmon, and her mixing it with these greens and supplements and these Chinese herbal teas. I mean, I did everything in the book, and it's interesting. Every time you get a dog, you learn so much from them, and I've just been really doing extensive study now since my last 2 dogs passed, because they both had illnesses. One had cancer and the other had kidney failure. And so I've been really looking into how to feed dogs and all the vaccines that we're giving them. And what are the causes that why dogs are getting so much cancer and all these illnesses so much faster these days than they did back in like the 50s.
Yeah, it's a trip, that how they get the same ailments as humans. And I get, what you had just said, like people are also getting more sick than, now than back in the 40s, 50s. Like food was processed better and more healthy for us. And now they just put all this crap in it and purposely unhealthy. And so, yeah, more power to you, any pet mom and dads out there that make fresh food for their dogs. Because
there's a great book that I just recommend for anybody to read called Feeding Dogs. I'll have to make sure I believe it's Feeding Dogs, and it's about feeding them raw primarily. Yeah, it's Feeding Dogs. Great, great book for anybody to read because they have all of these new dog food brands out like Farmer's Dog and Just Food for Dogs. And in my opinion, it's all overpriced marketing. So I highly believe in feeding raw. That's my opinion based on the research that I've done. And I was feeding my dogs Farmer's Dog before and you just try to figure out what is making your dog sick. There's so many things. There's pesticides in the grass that they step on them, that they lay in, that goes into their body. There's flea and tick medication that's ultimately pure poison that you're putting in your dogs, right? So I think you just have to become and ask yourself, what type of situation does my dog live in? Like my dogs are at home with me all day. They're not going to doggy daycare. They don't need all of these vaccines and all of these things that, in my personal mind, are not doing them any favors.
No, they're not. I stopped giving my dog sleep medications a while ago, but he's here with me all the time. Right. He's not out and about. I don't really take him like too many places where there will be ticks and things. Yeah, and with the food too, I think if you're going to spend the money and do all that to get all those other like Farmer's Dog and things like that, I think you really should just make your own food because the advertisements are really good. They look good, they look great, they sound great. But my sister got it for her dog. And it was about a month, but after a month, he had these severe intestinal issues and he almost died. And it wasn't like that.
Really?
Yeah. He was totally fine before. And I know that, the vets are saying that something like that might happen more immediate and not a month later. But that was the only change to his life, and he, after 3 days of being in urgent care, he finally was okay. And, she stopped feeding him. She put him back on his other food. But they're not all they're cracked out to be either. So if you're really going to do something like that or change their diet after, especially if they're older, I think maybe, better to just, if they're fine, or make your own food, because there's nothing more healthier than that. You know what the ingredients that you're putting into their food. So
exactly.
And it's really fresh. It's super fresh. It's definitely not frozen. That's not all the other stuff that's in there. No.
Right. Because highly recommend reading this book because it just talks about the history of dogs and the studies that they've done on dogs. And surprise, surprise, most of the studies have been conducted by big brands like Purina. And those go back to the 50s when they started doing processed dry food. Basically, kibble is pretty much like cereal for dogs. There's not a ton of nutrients in it. They're closely tied to wolves and foxes, and they are pure carnivores. So they can't, and if they're out in the wild and they're going hunting, and they're going to be hunting for usually small game. So when they've done studies, like they're getting rabbits and toads and ducks, not big game like cows. That's not something a dog can really pull. But if you think so, based on what they catch is what I've been feeding my dog. So rabbit, sardines, eggs, organs, all like the organs and stuff. You go to the butcher, you can ask them and just gives you some beef liver, beef hearts, all of those things, because that's what the dog
I would never think to do that. Yeah.
and it's more cost effective too than the pet food industry is a huge, huge market, just like our food industry for humans. So everything is going to be more expensive when you buy it from the pet food store, and you don't know what's in it. And there's two types of meat too when they are, killing cows. Basically, there's human grade meat and then there's non-human grade meat. And all of that non-human grade stuff gets sprayed with carcinogens. And that's what gets fed to our dogs. So that's what's going into a majority of our pet food.
I haven't researched every single ingredient that I put into his food. And people should, the reason why I haven't really changed his food too much, or because he's okay, health wise, we get blood work and everything. And he's, for his breed, like also different breeds have different ailments as well. Like they're prone to certain things. And he's going to be 17 in a couple months, and that's pretty old, like for his breed. They live to like maybe 12, 14 if you're lucky. And so that's why I'm afraid to change his food too, especially what happened with my sister's dog.
Yeah.
So, but everything else, like I give him healthy treats and everything, and
17.
Yeah, I know he's going to be 17. We have the same birthday.
And he's at Staffy, right?
Uh-huh.
That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah, it really is. For that breed, it really is. I'm incredibly lucky. I think it has a lot more to do with like how much love I've given him. And, every person is different. I let him sleep in the bed with me. Like, I don't care. Yeah, when he started to, he can go to the bathroom and everything on his own, but sometimes he'll leak a little bit of pee throughout the night. And I'll put diapers on and lay on a towel because I don't care. My baby's still sleeping with me in my bed.
It's like a normal baby. They pee their diapers all the time.
Yeah. Now he has diapers. It's so cute. He just like trots around and lets me put them on. And he's always been so good. Like he's always let me just mess with his ears. I can clip his nails, no problem. He'll just sit there. He doesn't care. We've always just kind of, since he was little, messed with his ears and his paws and all those things that like would do, if he had to go to the vet, so that he's not freaking out when someone's touching his ears and all of that. Yeah. So he's the goodest boy, and I love him so much. He's my baby. He's my child, my firstborn, my child.
They're the most, that's like your soul dog, Yeah. You've got he's like 17 years of life with you, where I'm sure he's seen all of the changes and big love events, heartbreak. And they're just always there for you.
Yeah, exactly. It's, and I just love dogs so much. I love how they can sense, they feed off your energy. And so there's been so many times where I've been just like super, super sad, and he'll just come up to me, and it's like they know.
Yeah.
They know.
They do. I think there has been studies where dogs know when their owners are sad. And that's same with Gloria. Like the other day, I just had one of those worked out weeks, and I was like, and she just comes up, runs up to me and jumps on the couch and puts her face in my face. And they're and they know when you're sick, and they tend to come lay by you. It's like dogs are just next level. I feel like
we don't deserve them at all.
Yeah. They're from a different planet.
Yeah. Just how they can it's unconditional. It's unconditional. Like, the other day, I got mad at my dog because she jumped on the counter and got some food, so I yelled at her. But immediately she was just like, "Oh, okay, like I'm sorry, please don't be mad at me for too long." And they're just, they don't, it does. You can yell at them and they would still be like, "Oh, I love you so much, I don't care,"
Yeah, I know, it's so hard. You're like, "Okay, here's another treat."
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I made these frozen plain yogurt with blueberries and strawberries, and I put it in the freezer. I think there's little pops for them because it's been so hot lately.
Yeah.
And so even when she jumped up and got some food, I was like, "You're not getting a treat later," but I can't do that. Here, let's have a little frozen pop together.
So sweet. And those are great treats for dogs.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, I mean, also for the listeners as well, but what is the best technique, or how do you get your current dogs to meet a new dog, or how do you like integrate them? And because I'm worried because my dog's older and we've been thinking about, getting another dog, but and like most people, I think about, oh, he's too old to have another dog around,
Yeah.
But I think for anyone listening as well, how do you integrate dogs?
It's like fosters or any new dog.
I think fosters or, any dogs that are in the shelter, because
Yeah.
I wanted to get a dog, but I think I am going to wait. I think about when the time comes, when it does come, because I want to get 2 or 3 seniors at the same time. But for those that are listening that want to, I want all the seniors, all the pit bulls, all the ones that have been in there the longest, I want them here.
I love that. Well, help you.
There's that. Get the dog from the shelter, want to integrate your dog. How do we do that?
Yeah. So with whether you're going to adopt a dog and you have dogs in the house and or young kids, or you're going to foster a dog, the same rules apply. So I always say there's like a decompression period when you're bringing a new dog home. It's a lot. It's such a difference from going from a noisy shelter to this like new home. So just think of like slowly acclimating that dog in. And the first thing I do is I always have the dog on leash when I give him a little tour of part of the house, but mainly the part that I decided that we're going to keep that dog. So for me, I do it in a smaller room, like my office, where I'm in most of the time. So if I'm working, I can kind of keep an eye on him, but it becomes their zone. I always crate train because for me, I work with larger dogs. So I'm working with larger pit bulls, but same should apply for any type of dog, whether it's a small dog too. You just have a smaller crate that fits your dog. But I have very large crates in my room. And I basically, I get them acclimated to their crate. Some dogs are crate trained, which is great. Some are not. So I use food and rewards, like feeding them in the crate to make it sure that's their home. And I don't introduce my dog to that dog for a couple days or sometimes a full week.
And don't like let them see each other right away, kind of a thing.
No, they can like maybe after a couple days, like they can see each other through a baby gate. I do baby gates, which are effective if your dog's not a jerk and going to push it through. But luckily, my girl Gloria is very respectful with crate. But I would say after a couple of days, the first thing I'm going to do with the dogs is take them on a walk together. And usually it's my husband and I, we each have a dog and we take them on a walk side by side, let them do a quick sniff so they're on neutral grounds. And we give them a nice walk around the house. And then we let them outside and keep them both on leash. And then we see how they do in the yard with like a short little play. And I keep them on leash because if anything happens, there's any like altercation, you can quickly grab that leash and pull them away.
Yeah.
And that's how they do it at the shelter too. So it really depends on your dog, right? If you're going to get a dog that's been really, if you pull a dog that's really traumatized, they're going to need a longer lead time for integration with another dog. But you'll sense if you're like, this is a dog, they'll tell you at the shelter too, or at the rescue. They'll be like, my last muster dog, he was in play groups. He loved dogs. So he was playing with my dog right away, but we would do breaks, right? Like they play and then it's like, okay, break time, back to your crates. Here's a snack. Just like kids,
Yeah.
It's really similar to like a bunch of toddlers of like,
they have their own unique personalities too, and you can kind of see that. And
yeah,
sorry, what?
So yeah, that's my general kind of rule of thumb is it one depends on the dog, but I always keep them separated, have them sleep in the crate. Like their crate is their safe spot in their home. And I make sure that my other dog doesn't try to get in their crate because that could become territorial. I'll pick up all toys and bones. Don't want anything that can create an altercation in your house. All of that stuff goes away because you don't know if that dog is food possessive. We do checks. So when I'm feeding a dog, I put the food down and then I pick it up to see if it's going to, try to maybe bite me. And I'm like, do that. I do it a couple of times to make sure the dog's good. Same with bones. Give it a bone. Try to take it out of its mouth. If that dog doesn't let go, I'm like, all right, we have to work on that. No bones for you. And I've learned these different things about the dog. And then you're like, but make sure to take all the things that could possibly cause any type of tug of war or anything. We don't let our foster dogs do that with our current dogs because their faces get so close together. Yeah. You just don't want anything, bad to happen. So you keep it really safe, but you walk them, walking dogs together. They're pack dogs. It's packed. That's what they love the most. And then after their walk, they kind of have it out. They want to play a little bit in the yard. They can do chase. And then they usually just chill and lay on the couch with each other.
Yeah, that's great. Great advice. I remember not knowing what to do when I had first met my husband. Because he had a dog and I had Depot. This was about 10 years ago. And I had no idea what to do. I was doing a little bit of research and I just say, let them smell each other first. Don't let them see each other right away. As much things on neutral ground as possible, like the walking and everything. We were so freaked out. We had got muzzled for both of them. And it's like, we didn't even have to, they were totally fine. I mean, the house we were living at, it was shaped in a way that's perfect for integrating new dogs. I think we just let them smell each other for a couple days, and then we went on the walk, and then it was fine. But I mean, I feel like that doesn't always work out, right? For every single dog. Sometimes there's dogs that are just like, no, I don't like you. I'm not gonna like you. And how do you deal with that?
Yeah. Well, I'd say dogs are similar to humans, right? You're not going to love everybody. There's going to be a few people that you're just like, this isn't my dog. Yeah. And that's normal. You will get dogs that are leash reactive, and you will get dogs that might not like, other boy dogs, or they might not particularly like a certain type of dog for some reason. So I think being very aware, and when you're walking your dog, I'm always like, don't look at your phone, because that's when things can happen. If I'm always very self-aware on my walks, because I've had dogs that were leash reactive, but then they were fine off leash. So I always just tell people hey, my dog's leash reactive, so we're going to cross the street here. And I've worked with plenty of trainers. You don't want to make them sit and wait through and feel uncomfortable. You just want to get them to go, get past it. Or my dog's great off leash. Let's go to the park. I always advise not going to dog parks, though. I think those are you're just asking for a dog fight to break out. And that's where they break out. You'll ask any vet or any trainer, they say they don't believe in dog parks because of that reason. Because what happens is people work all day. Their dogs tend to be pent up in the house all day. And then they bring a bunch of dogs to a playground, essentially, to let their energy out. And most of those people are sitting back, talking to each other. They're on their phones. They're not paying attention. And then a fight breaks out. And they're like, oh, my dog's dog possessive. And you're like, well, then why did you bring your dog here if your dog's dog possessive? So I can never, ever bring in my dogs to a dog park. I think I did once when I lived in Oakland, because there was a cute little park and somebody brought a puppy to that, and all of the dogs swarmed. And my dog, Ava, who's a big dog, and she wasn't even a Pitbull, but she looked like one. She got in there and they all just got excited and started snarling at each other. And I had to pull her out, and I had to leave, because if anyone's going to get, to food, it's going to be me because it looks like I have some Pitbull
Right.
and it wasn't my fault.
Somebody out then, yeah.
Yeah, because someone brought a dog that's unneutered. And when people don't neuter their dogs or spay their dogs, that tends to create a lot of conflict too, and fights break out because they just have extra testosterone and they're,
It's, you know, it's not the dog's fault either. Some people are just, they don't know how to walk their dog. You know, like if I'm saying, oh, my dog's not friendly and you have your dog off a leash, call your dog back or don't let your dog approach my dog. I'm telling you, they're not friendly, first of all. And if you're like walking in an area where they should be on a leash, why is your dog, and that irritates me so much. Like, why is your dog off of leash in an area where they're not supposed to be? And it's because sometimes our dog can be unpredictable. And so, yeah, then they want to get mad if your dog, you know, growls at them or whatever. I'm telling you, like, what? Don't. People, I hate people.
I know. People are so unaware.
They're so angry.
I always see if there's somebody who has a dog that's off leash and it's like they'll just be in the bike path and it's like, you know, maybe an older gentleman who can't run very fast. He's just standing there yelling for his dog and his dog's not moving. And I'm like, I'm the one that goes around. But usually I just ask the person, I'm like, hey, can you please put your dog on leash? You know, not because my dog's not friendly, but I don't know if your dog's not friendly.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know who your dog is. So I know your confidence is maybe up there because you don't have your dog on leash, but you don't know if my dog is unfriendly. I mean, I know my dog's is. So I just want to tell people and ask them. And if I'm kind of walking and I see that there's a bunch of dogs on leash, I just walk the other way because I'm not. And then 2 seconds later, I hear a dog fight break out and I'm good. We're going to go this other direction. I'm not going to get involved in that.
Yeah. Off all the topics. What dogs are in your house now? You have one foster or are you keeping that dog?
Yeah, so we just had a foster, but he got adopted on Valentine's Day. So like a month ago, Mochi, and he was so cute. Yeah, we had him for a little over a month and he found the perfect home and I stayed in connection with her so we could go on walks. And it's so funny because when you give up a foster dog, he was just starting to get really comfortable in her house. And I was like, oh, this is his home. He loves me. And I felt, you know, so sad to let him go. And he was young. He was definitely like probably a little over a year. And I saw him maybe 3 weeks later and I thought he was going to be so excited to see me. And like, we're going to have this running moment. But now he was so excited to see Gloria, my dog. They like ran to each other, interlocked. And I was like, who's this lady? So it actually made me feel good because that's the hardest part, of course, about fostering is like you get connected. But a lot of the young dogs they're pretty easily reconnect with whoever their new owner is.
Yeah.
So, but he loved Gloria, and so that was funny. But that made me happy too. It made it a little easier.
Yeah. Okay, I can. It's okay then.
Yeah. But we're taking care of our friend's old dog, Delta. She's a Pitbull, and they're on tour right now at South by Southwest, and we're doing some hospice care on her. She has a feeding tube, and we've done so much of that in the last 2 years with our dogs that we know how hard it is to find someone if you have to leave to take care of your dog with like all the medications and just being really careful and making them comfortable. So we're happy to do it. And she's already made our couch her new bed and she's right at home. So we're really happy that we could do that for them and be there for her.
How old is that dog?
Delta is 11, I think 11 and a half, but she looks super young. I mean, she's still going. She has a feeding tube, and I haven't done a feeding tube before. We did sub-Q fluids for my other dog, which was just pumping the subcutaneous fluids in every day. But this is this is almost easier because there's no needles, and I tend to faint when there's needles. So I was happy about that. But it just gets there, she's not eating because she's nervous. She gets her food in that way.
Okay.
And then, you clean the tube. But it's all been practice because we're all going to get old at some point. All of our dogs get old and they all have different things. And you just try to make them the most comfortable and happy. And
yeah, I know, like just the thought of all the dogs that are out there that are in shelters and in cages, small cages compared to a house, or and the older ones too. It breaks my heart. Those dog videos, they get me every time. I'm like, okay, Mike, we have to just get all of them. We have to rescue all of them.
I know the older dogs is what really, the ones that are blind and deaf. I mean, it just got to be it's so stressful to be there. And that's why I decided I always worked with California Pitbull Rescue when I was in Oakland for over a decade. And still I do work with them. I foster through them. But when I moved out to Sonoma County, I met Lily's Legacy, and they run, I don't know if you've heard of them, but she runs an all senior dog rescue. And she has this amazing story. She was a realtor her whole life and had this dog, Lily, who got old and passed. And then she just realized that's her calling, is that she wanted to take care of senior dogs. So she bought acres out in Petaluma and created a barn and converted it into a rescue. So all of these dogs have like these beautiful open cages where they can go outside, and they have a swimming pool. And then like all of these like volunteers who come, or I'd say more like senior, come during the day and hang out with the dogs all day. It's like heaven.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, it really is. I know there's this one rescue that I follow. I think it's called Muttsville. It's in San Francisco, and they're not cages, but like it's all senior dogs. Mostly Chihuahuas, they look like.
Yeah,
and then,
they do small dogs.
And then that people, seniors come in and hang out with them as long as they want. I mean, any visitor can go and hang out with the dogs as long as they want, and that's a good shelter.
Yes, it's like very similar to Muttsville, but they do larger dogs, like a lot of shepherds, golden retrievers, some pit bulls they take in, and they're in the country, but same like beautiful facility that Muttsville has.
I hope that I have you on again. I'm sure there'll be other episodes that I'm going to want to, if something that I forgot to talk about or bring up or anything, but if you want to do this again, that would be awesome.
I would love to. I would love to be on again too, because we do have one special dog we want to plug. I think his name's Oliver. He really needs out. He's like a little pit bully guy that looks like Gloria. So I'll add him there too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The world would be better off if everybody had a dog. I feel there would be wars. It would be, nobody would be angry. No, everyone would just, we would all just love each other more.
Exactly. I fully agree. Everyone needs a dog. Every good person needs a dog.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Is there anything else you wanted to maybe bring up or anything, or?
Just the two things. We're having our big fundraiser for California Pitbull Rescue on June 14th at Humble Sea Brewery in Alameda. So we'll have some dogs there available to foster or adopt. And it's super fun. And it's just a great way. It brings together a whole East Bay community that rallies around a lot of our dogs. So always a fun event, always good food there. And also with Saving Senior Dogs USA, we are looking for corporate sponsors. So if you or anyone knows of anyone who would want to be a sponsor for our national initiatives, it supports saving dog rescues like across the country, all saving dog rescues. We basically get a pool of money and then we disperse it to all of these rescues. Last year, we made over 50K, which was great. We could give a lot of these rescues good money for medical funds and to help promote their adoptions.
Yeah, everything that they need. I checked out the website. I love it. And I did reach out. I sent an email to ask what it entails to be a sponsor. So hopefully I hear back soon.
Did you do it through the website?
I did. Yeah.
It probably went to the owner, Alice. So
Okay.
I'll mention that to her and say that Virgie is asking, because it's different level. You can also just donate like a normal donation, but the sponsors are up on our page. Like you get your brand up. So it's whether it's your podcast, like it's up for a whole year. And we have a pretty good PR person who puts us on like KQED and is often showing our Saving Senior Dogs. So we've got a great PR team, which is awesome. And you need to come visit. You should come visit Lily's Legacy. It's absolutely heavenly.
Yes, I would love to. 'Cause I know not everybody can donate, but if you just follow and share all their stories and things, that's what gets other people that can donate. So
Totally.
Just how important it is to adopt, and if you can't adopt, if you can't foster, even just foster so that they're not just sitting in those cages. They can be sitting with you.
Yeah. And I think too, like the one thing I just want to say about fostering is you don't have to foster full time. There's so many options. You can take dogs on field trips from OAS, Oakland Animal Shelter, just for the day, which gets them out on a hike. You can also do buddy fostering, which I've done with friends, where I take them in the week and then my friend will take them on the weekend. So there is a lot of alternatives to fostering that can make it work for your schedule.
Good to know. Do the shelters that you were associated with or that you work with, do they all offer those options, or is that just some that you know of?
So I primarily work with Oakland Animal Shelter, and California Pitbull Rescue usually pulls a lot of their dogs from there. So it depends. If you're working, I'd say it's best to work with a rescue when you're fostering, because a rescue is going to really advocate for that dog to get adopted. They take them to adoption events and they provide you with all the food, the medical. You're not paying for anything when you have a foster dog. You're providing a home, you're providing their training, and you're providing their love and then the food that they give you. So if you reached out to California Pitbull Rescue and was like, hey, me and my sister want to co-foster a dog, do you have one that would work well? Because I think it's good for some dogs to actually have like more experiences meeting more people and getting acclimated to different houses, because eventually that's what's going to happen. They're going to get adopted unless you foster fail. Yeah.
I didn't even think about that too, about what you were saying earlier. Fostering doesn't mean they have to be in your house. You can just go take them on daily walks or take them out for the entire day, which would make world,
Yeah. I mean, it's great. They're in a crate all day. If they can get out and go, out to Walking Miller Park in Oakland and go for a hike all day, or take them to the beach and it gets some exposure. Like they have their little Adopt Me vest on. I think Oakland Animal Shelter still does that. And you just have to go through a program to become one of their fosters.
Okay.
So, which is good, right? You learn what to do and then you get your little badge there, and you can technically either work there in the shelter, take dogs out in the day, or you can do field trips or sometimes even overnights.
Yeah.
Sleepovers. Yeah.
You're doing the Lord's work, girl.
Thank you.
You really are. So people that are listening, please, if you can't donate, just follow these shelters. Look into the information. If you can't, take them out every day, maybe just volunteer and take them for like an hour walk or something. I think I've seen some videos too where people go and like read to the dogs if they can't take them out. Just spend time with them. Just like get their mind. They're not losing their minds in those little cages, because dogs are very, very important.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Reggie. It's just truly been an honor to talk about one of the things that's the closest to my soul. Like, I just love working with dogs. I mean, over anything else, there's nothing happier than seeing people with their dogs and being happy. It's a different kind of joy that's unmatchable. So I appreciate you having me. And
Yeah, thank you. I hope to do this again soon. Thank you so much.
would love to. Thanks, Virgie.
Have a good one.
Bye.